Hey, fourth grade scientists, today we're going to be doing a little experiment that involves density, and our question of the day is it easier to float in a salty ocean or in a freshwater lake? You might know the answer to that, but let's experiment first. So first of all, you might be asking, what exactly is density? Well, density has to do with mass. If something is more dense, you can kind of think of it as it's heavier. It brings about more weight in a way, but think of mass in that sense as well. So we are going to do an experiment, and if you would like to follow along, you can pause the video and gather your materials. Very simple. You need 2 cups of some sort. It'd be great if they're clear glass jars of some sort. Water, this is just filled with water. Salt, this is really what makes the experiment happen. 2 eggs, and they are raw, so be very careful, and a spoon. So the first thing that you are going to do is carefully take your egg on your spoon and gently place it in your cups. When I mean carefully, I mean carefully. Next, I am just going to fill both of my cups with regular old tap water. You know, enough to cover the egg. There we go. So now what do you notice about both of the eggs? Well, they're just eggs sitting in the cups in the water. Nothing is actually happening until we add our salt into the water. So the awesome thing about salt is you'll notice in the winter time, well, what does salt do to ice? Salt melts the ice. Salt can also make things float. So to go back to our question, is it easier to float in a salty ocean or a freshwater lake? Let's think about it. If you have a bucket of tennis balls, lots and lots of tennis balls, and you have lots of extra space between those tennis balls, but not if you pour a bunch of marbles into that bucket. So the salt is like the marbles, where it takes up the extra space. Yes, we have the water, and it doesn't look like there's extra space because we can't see it with our own eyes, but when we pour the salt in, the salt takes the place of those extra spaces, and we'll be able to see that when I pour in the salt, you'll notice something happening to the egg. Okay, so I'm going to pour the salt into my left one here, about 3 spoonfuls. You don't want to pour this entire thing, you don't need to. I'm just going to remove my egg a little bit just to be able to stir the salt into the water. I'm going to gently place it down, and voila, you can see the egg just bobbing up and down. Yes, it's a little bit cloudy. You can keep it until it actually clears, but all that salt is taking up the space of the water molecules. While this one, I did not add any salt. It's just kind of sitting there. You can kind of play with the egg there gently. I'm pushing it down, but it's just reacting and coming back up. So the fun thing about density, if you think of the Dead Sea, which is in Israel, it's the same concept. So the Dead Sea is located at the end of the Jordan River, and the Jordan River is filling the Dead Sea with lots of water and with lots of salt as well. So people from all around the world go to the Dead Sea just to be able to float in it. And as the Dead Sea fills with this salty water, our water cycle kind of comes into play. Okay, if it's a nice sunny day out, evaporation is going to occur, and evaporation is just going to occur by evaporating just the water. Well, what's left behind? The salt. The Jordan River brings in more salt and water, and then the sun evaporates only the water. So the salt stays. Think of all that salt in the Dead Sea. So you can kind of think of yourself right here in the Dead Sea floating away. I hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully you can experiment on your own.